keep your music ready. You take those groceries into the study, Fred Honey, but you won't be finished. Correction, before we open tonight.
Of course, this is the last time I saw you, of course, John. You were just going into a play, of course.
Oh, noise is off.
Yeah.
Yes. Quite an experience.
Playing Lloyd, the eccentric film producer, the producer,
the lovely director.
Yeah, I used to get very sort of stressed out.
Wouldn't you, just if your play was going on tomorrow and you hadn't finished rehearsing? Yeah. Yeah, good storyline. Good fun.
So what was it like to? Just want to talk a little bit about Noises Off, but so what was it actually like in the rehearsal stages? Because obviously knowing the play quite well, it's quite a good. It's like a strong farce, really. It's just got.
Oh, it's totally farce.
Yeah. Lots of running around, sardines and doors, and everyone's bumping into each other.
Well, first of all, you're in a rehearsal room.
Right.
That's much smaller than the eventual space you're going to be performing in. And not only is it smaller, you have in the show 2 levels. You're upstairs and along a mezzanine floor. So that presents problems in its own way, because your timing is all over the place. When you're walking on stairs that have been taped on the floor, how do you judge how long it's going to take you to go up a dozen steps on stage? And for my role, I was seated in the audience. How long does it take me to get from my seat to the stage? And that was something which we just learnt the lines and the crude movements, and then honed it to at each step. When we eventually got onto stage and it was still no set, just a few chairs and chalk marks on the stage, then you start developing the moves in a more finer way. So yeah, it was quite something. But the words are so important, and the eventual action in and out of doors, that's farce, as they say.
So, can you give me a brief sort of thing, a brief outline of what it was like to work with director Sue Russell Curtis?
Ah, Sue Russell Curtis, a lady who knows what she wants, and guided the cast, I must say, pretty well. Yeah, she was good. She knew what she wanted and where she was going with it, and I think that's what the cast want. You need to have a knowledge that the director is aware of where things are going, rather than just letting you get on with it. You want to put your input into the production, but you want to know, is it right for the total picture? As an actor, you tend to see your little world and not the overall picture. And Sue was very good at pulling all that together. So, yeah, and particularly since she wasn't feeling wonderful on 1 or 2 evenings, she was. But that's it. You see, we rehearse in the evenings, and she was suffering a little bit from a heavy cold. So all credit to her for ploughing on and cracking the whip in a nice way.
She did very well.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I obviously don't know Sue as well as you do, but I did go and she was there when I went to go and see the play, and I was very sort of complimentary to her for doing that sort of thing, just the play really, because she spoke a lot about the play passionately, and yeah, it was good.
Yeah, you have to understand the play, and if you do one thing, what are the knock-on effects? So if you go down one particular movement route, exit in a certain area, what's going to happen next? How are they going to get on again? It's not a deep, cerebral play, so you don't have to worry too much about that, but you have to know the individuality of the characters, so you can squeeze the comedy out of them. And of course you have to buy laughs sometimes by creating a serious moment which then projects itself into a humorous one. You can't be funny every second of a play. because the audience couldn't cope with that. You have to let it drop and then come up again. And the sequences were looked at quite closely. Because the art of comedy is you have one hit for a joke, a second hit on the same joke, and then the third one gives the real kicker. And if you can create that, the audience really just follow you along, and that's really nice and satisfying.
And just one more question: how is it like to work with various other members of the cast? Because you've got a real diverse sort of cast. Because you've got Tina Swain playing Dottie, and you've got Ollie Sutton-Izard playing Gary, and Emily's Poppy, and Derek is Selsdon.
Oh yes, Naomi, of course, is a new member of the group.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mark also is a new member.
Mm.
Now, the wonderful thing about theatre, for me, is the diversity of people, the backgrounds. They each have different day jobs in this amateur world, and different ages, different interests away from the theatre, but coming together for a show, there is this focus, and that's good. I think that the individuals really do, a hackneyed expression here, but they do create more than the sum of the individual parts. This is where synergy really kicks in. Without one, you couldn't have the other. All actors like the comedy line to get the joke, but you have to have someone set it up for you, and they are as important to the joke as the person delivering the final punchline. And there was a generosity on this particular show about how people were presenting the other people the best effect, and that's always nice because not everyone is like that. Some have a me attitude.
But did you all sort of connect on stage and just sort of, and in rehearsals, and just sort of feel like I'd say like a family, and just sort of go on with it? And
of the other 8, I only knew two before the show, and instantly the others and the older folk just blended in, which was great. It was sounds soppy, but that's actually what happened. Which is nice.
It was a really well received show. I think sold out on nearly all the dates.
It was 91% sold, which is pretty high.
Based on the advertising and marketing, which I've got here, 91% seems about correct. And have you seen the review for Noises Off?
I've read it. I haven't lingered on it because it's an embarrassing review. It's too generous.
I think it says, right, I've got it here. It says, and this is actually written. Director C. Russell Curtis could have been in no doubt about what she was talking about and it is to her credit and that of her team that Noises Off brought some such wildly enthusiastic applause from the audience at the final bow. The cast is universally excellent, and it was a real coup for Susan to get John Pyke to return to the stage as Lloyd Dallas, the director of Nothing On. John is a master of the comic turn, and the role could have been written for him, as could the part of Dottie Oakley for Tina Swain.
Yes. The reporter has been very generous to me over the years. But it wasn't a question of persuading me to come back to the stage. I hadn't really left it. I just hadn't been cast, nor had I applied for anything. So this one was of interest. But she's absolutely right in the report, in the critique that she's given, that the cast were, I think, universally brilliant.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
Really well cast, this play.
It was people playing different size of roles, and the number of words you learn, not always that important, but you have to deliver what you've been asked to, whether it's 6 words or 60,000 words in a play.
It was quite a
satisfying.
It was quite the pressure once rehearsal started. The pressure was on, and I think maybe wasn't it that a member of the cast actually dropped out because the pressure sort of,
Yes, we had a substitute after, well, halfway through rehearsals. It was necessary to change one of the characters.
Right.
And that always puts uncertainty in the minds of the actors around, because they've been learning the moves and the relationship with an actor. You change them and then the dynamics change. The beauty of the change was the fact that someone stepped into the role who had a lesser part in the play, who was magnificent.
Right.
Really rose to the occasion.
That was Ollie.
Yeah, Ollie, he did a great job. Not only with the farcical side of nature, but actually coming down the stairs and falling down the stairs.
Yes, I think I caught up with, wasn't the stunt arranger, it was a collaboration of Ollie and wasn't it Tina's husband?
Yeah, Tina's husband is a professional theatrical fight arranger. Right.
And it was a collaboration of him and Ollie, and from what I gather from conversations, and I've heard both sides of the story, both from Ollie and from Tina's husband, that to get him to fall down the stairs was quite a risky sort of thing, because you don't want to injure yourself, and obviously you want it to be realistic. And he said that they tried it on one time where it was a more controlled sort of fall, and Ollie didn't really feel very comfortable doing that. So he came up with a other way, I should say, maybe not a better way, but an other way of coming up with it, which what he eventually did was, did he do a sort of a flip?
He slid down the stairs on his back,
right,
to almost the last step. So on the penultimate step, he then did a roll onto the stage.
Like a roly-poly.
Yeah.
But it's not the most comfortable way to fall, but fair play to him, because on the night I went to see it, the whole audience applauded.
And rightly so. Yeah, it was very effective. And it came out of the blue for the audience who didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah, and just the timing of it, just even especially in the bit when he slipped on the sardines.
There again, another moment when it looks easy, but you've got to do this night after night, so it has to be.
Well, you're doing it. Well, you're rehearsing. Well, you were rehearsing it for 2 months, and then to do a 2-week one, it goes really quickly. And it goes in a flash, and.
Yes, I mean, for example, although there was no slap in this play, Roger will choreograph a slap, because you don't want an actor injured at the beginning of the run, so the slap has to be done. I won't talk about that, but it's done in a safe way, as indeed these more severe stunts were done. So if you do a splits by sliding, you can hurt yourself. But it was done with Roger's guidance, and that's great. He's a very thoughtful guy when he's arranging the fight, and he will make something look really good, although in simple terms it's broken down into manageable bite-sized pieces which actors, bless them, can cope with. So all credit to the whole team. I didn't see it in rehearsals, not until the set was up. It wasn't a closed set.
Yeah,
but
how was the final, response from it?
We loved it.
In terms of your view.
We made a point of watching it on the monitors backstage, because we were so interested in him doing it and hearing the audience reaction. We should always want to and then sometimes some applause, because you were listening to that, weren't you?
Yeah, I think I was. I think I was, yeah.
So it's cool. But even opening and closing doors at the right time in a farce is an art form. And they pulled it off completely. I just watched most of the show from out the front, so you didn't have to do much of that.
You had a lot of lines to learn, especially those chunky paragraphs, because it's difficult to find. I know Noises Off. For those of you who know Noises Off, it's very it's difficult to find big chunks in the play unless you're Lloyd.
Yes, but learning a chunk is often a lot easier than actually learning 2 or 3 words in succession to other people's dialogue. You learn it and you learn it, and you can take it at your own pace, and you're thinking about what's coming next. But if it's bang, 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 alternating with other people, some lines go in and some don't. I had a tricky time with 1 or 2 moments, but you soldier on and you do what you can. And some writers are easier than others to actually get embedded into your soul. Certainly for me. Michael Frayn, the author of Noises Off, he's not bad. He knows what he's doing. Like Eightborn is another quite easily learnt writer, because he knows the world, he knows the craft of acting, and he's an actor's writer, I think. Sounds very pompous, not meant to be. But no, you do it, to the best of your ability every time. But doing it every night, because as amateurs we do 10 performances. And that's pretty rare in the amateur world. Most of them do about 4 different groups, because of the fact they don't have their own theatre and they have to hire facilities. So we are very lucky performing at the Abbey Theatre in St Albans. It's right next to the new leisure centre. And since that's been developed, it's opened up our whole vista and the environment around there, which is really good.
Some of these days you'll miss me, honey. Some of these days you're gonna be so lonely. You'll miss my hugging. You're gonna miss my kissing. You're gonna miss me, honey.